Welcome back to Winning Law. I'm attorney David Nguyen with offices in Houston, Texas. And today we're going to discuss the Violence Against Women's Act, otherwise known as VAWA. So if you've been a victim of abuse and you happen to be a relative of a green card holder or U.S. citizen, you may qualify for VAWA and VAWA benefits. Now, typical situations that we see are spouses of U.S. citizens or green card holders, children or parents of U.S. citizens or green card holders may also qualify for benefits under VAWA. Now, when potential clients call my office, the most common question that I hear is whether or not I believe their case warrants an approval for VAWA. Like all immigration benefits, benefits under VAWA are also discretionary. This means that the U.S. government gives immigration officers broad discretion in deciding whether or not a case warrants the approval of the VAWA petition. So just because two individuals have very similar facts, similar situations, doesn't mean that both cases are going to be approved. Sometimes what you'll hear is that a person gets denied for VAWA and they have very similar facts to someone else who was approved for VAWA. So what this tells you is that just because your facts are very similar to someone you know that was approved for VAWA doesn't automatically mean that your case is going to be approved for VAWA. When you're filing for a VAWA case, unlike other cases, VAWA cases have a timeline. So if you filed, let's say, for your spouse or for a K-1 fiance or for your child or a parent or for a work visa, if that case gets denied, so what? You can reapply and try again. With VAWA, it's not the same. If you file for VAWA, you can only apply, especially if you're married to a U.S. citizen or green card holder, you have to apply while you're still married or within 2 years of the divorce. And in VAWA cases, usually it takes the government about 2 to 2.5 years to make a decision. This means that if your case is denied, you may not be eligible to reapply for VAWA benefits, unlike the other cases that we talked about before. So when you're applying for VAWA, you want to make sure that you do it right the first time. So at the end of this video, we're going to share a testimonial from one of our recent VAWA clients that recently had his case approved by immigration. The case is more difficult because we did have run-ins with the government where we had to argue certain things on his behalf. Now with VAWA clients, sometimes people have a lot of evidence and sometimes people don't have a lot of evidence. And sometimes people have a lot of evidence, but the government still wants to deny their case. And that's what happened in this particular person's case. So he's going to share his testimonial with you. And this way you have an idea about what to expect when you're filing a VAWA petition and why you should always hire an experienced immigration attorney to help you with your legal needs. Again, I'm attorney David Nguyen. This is Winning Law, and we hope that we have made immigration easier to understand.
Yes, my name is Demola Adedeji. I'm Nigerian. No, not at all. I agreed to this interview just to shed some light on my immigration journey, especially with the help of Attorney David Nguyen, and to also enlighten some people about some facts about because my case was a very exceptional one. My sister actually found you on VAWA at the time, and she was like, "Oh, let's go," and I just followed her to your office. My background is in medicine, so I really do not know much about law for me to determine who is a good lawyer and who is not a good lawyer. But one thing that stood out was the humility of Attorney David Nguyen. He was so humble and he was so easy to talk to. And the turning point when I decided to actually hire Attorney David Nguyen was when he spoke to me not from a perspective of a lawyer to a client, but from a fellow man to another man. And I asked him if this was going to work out. And he told me, "I don't like to lose. And for that reason, I don't take cases that I think do not stand a chance. So that was his answer. There was no, there was no clear-cut blue, black and white. Oh yes, it's gonna work, or no, it's not gonna work. When it comes to VAWA, again, as a black man in America. So initially, I did not think I had a strong case, and I'll tell you why. The reason was because I think my ex-wife respected me enough not to smack me in the face. So there was no evidence of physical abuse. It's really difficult to prove abuses that are not physical, because no one can actually see that. So it's your word, against no one, because they're not going to ask your spouse to also present our own case. They are not even going to contact your spouse in case you're afraid if they're going to contact your spouse, and they're going to reach out to them, and then they're going to start some other trouble for you. They're not going to ask anyone. So that's the thing. When I came to Attorney David Nguyen, I didn't believe that I knew I had a case. I had something, but I never really thought that it was something that was going to be sufficient enough for me to actually win a VAWA case. Yes. What happened was a year and a half into the application, they sent a letter requesting for evidence. Mind you, they were quiet for a year and a half. That nothing was being said about this case. But a year and a half, they sent RFE. They were trying to discredit all evidences that I had for our marriage. And I realized at the point that I already gave them everything I had. But it was just so difficult for them to actually believe that the marriage was real. So I had joint lease and bank statements or a joint account, and I also had auto insurance. I also had life insurance, and I also had photos that were taken at different times during our relationship. But I was really surprised that they still went ahead to ask me for more evidences, because I at the point when I was filing the case, I already gave them everything I had. When I first received the RFE, I was completely devastated, because I was like, oh my goodness, where do I go from here? Because I knew I had nothing else to give to them. I knew I already gave them everything I had. I had a lot of evidences to prove how bona fide this marriage was, but when they asked me for more evidences, I was just like, okay, now I just leave everything to God, because at this point I didn't even know what to do, because I didn't have more evidence. Because if I had to send them another evidence, it's going to be a repetition of what I sent to them earlier. So that's how I felt. So when I expressed my concern to Attorney David Nguyen, I was really happy the way he actually responded to my concerns, the way he answered all the questions I had. He told me to calm down, and that stuff like this, even though I know he was trying to calm me down, because my case was they were really harsh on me. And he was telling me that we see this stuff all the time, that he knows what to do, and he knew what he was going to do, and he said he was going to argue my case. So after we responded to the request for evidence, the case was approved. I think I was going to work, and then I received a text message from my attorney David Nguyen, that my VAWA case was approved. I was so happy. I don't think I've ever been that happy in my life. I was just so elated, and I was just like, I was crying, because it's been almost 5 years going back and forth with immigration. It's just it was a sign that good things, better things to come. It was just I knew that Attorney David Nguyen really did a good job. We got on his side. So that's how I felt. If I had to do the VAWA by myself, I don't think so. I would say no, because Attorney David Nguyen and his team, especially Miss Rebecca Alder, they took it upon themselves. Like I was one of their family. They took me in. I think I really got more than I paid for. If you want to file VAWA, one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that, especially in my own case, it was a very, very different case because I wasn't abused physically. And I think if you are a victim of any form of abuse or abusive relationship, if you have an abusive spouse who is an American citizen, who is your petitioner, you shouldn't be afraid to come out, to see a lawyer, to talk to a lawyer, and see what your options are. Because it's better to be alive and to be mentally, sound than any green card. So. And as a black man in America, I know it's difficult to prove your case sometimes from what the society has portrayed us to be. Most of the time, it's not what it is. So you have to establish the fact that you entered the marriage in good faith, or no matter how little the abuse might be, you should try as much as possible to document it, because when things go sideways, those are the things that you need to prove your case. If you don't try to respond to an RFE by yourself, try to talk to your attorney. Try to talk to, Attorney David Nguyen is really knowledgeable in this area. If I were to rate Attorney David Nguyen, not because I'm in his establishment, but I would give him a 12 out of 10. He did a really good job. And he's really knowledgeable. He's really humble, he's really nice, and he's affordable.
At David Nguyen's law office, we are here to help you. We bring families together through immigration. And on the other hand, we help you find solutions. All your legal needs in the hands of people who care, who are there for you. We'll take care of your loved ones at the law office of David Nguyen.